Is zombie real? As we all know, zombies are fictional creatures that appear in horror movies. But there is always that question that arises. Is it really possible for humans to be reanimated after death? Or is this just a figment of our imagination? So in today's video, let's talk about, is zombie real or not? A few days ago, a video was uploaded by user 2D Space on TikTok. In that video, we can see that there is a boy who is lying down on a hospital bed. There is also a nurse who is taking care of him. And what's even more interesting here is that the boy's eyes suddenly opened up, although he was declared dead for several minutes already. Well, if you want to know more about it, make sure to check out the video at the end of the video, because I am quite sure you will love it. What is a zombie? Let's first find out the meaning of a zombie before going further into the topic. The word zombie was first mentioned in Haitian folklore. It refers to an individual whose soul has been devoured by a malevolent spirit called the zombie. The concept of a zombie in this sense is different from the modern conception. In modern times, however, the word zombie has come to refer to a person who is animated after death, which is usually caused by a virus infection. So did you ever get shocked when you watched any movie where the scientist was trying to find a cure for the zombie virus and accidentally bit one of the staff members and they turned into a zombie? Well, that may not be a far-fetched idea after all. In fact, some scientists say that there are parts of the world where zombies are real. What does science have to say about zombies? Find out in the next section. Is the zombie virus real? As mentioned earlier, according to scientists, there are parts of the world where zombies do exist. However, the cause of their existence is totally different. Instead of being caused by a virus, they are born due to a parasite. While talking about parasites, we can never forget to mention cordyceps. This fungus is known as the zombie fungus. The name itself sounds scary, right? Well, it's not just the name, its impact is also very scary. The spores of this fungus enter the body of the insects like ants and slowly start controlling their entire nervous system. Once they take over the complete control, they convert the insect's brain into their food source. Then, the infected insect begins to show signs of a real zombie. They move like a real zombie and look like one too. But wait, there is more to it. This fungus also produces chemicals that keep the host alive. This means the insect will stay alive even after its entire nervous system has been destroyed. Isn't that creepy? Well, if you think that this is where the story ends, then you are wrong, because it gets creepier with each step. When the parasite takes full control over the host's body, it instructs the ant to head towards the nearest leaf and bite down on it with its last strength. After biting down on the leaf, the corpus then starts growing out of the dead body of the insect and starts producing fruiting bodies, which release more zombifying spores into the environment, starting the process all over again. There are many other fungi that are also responsible for creating zombies. For example, Ophiocordyceps. This fungus also has some species that turn their victims into zombies. One of those species is the cortex, which targets carpenter ants. It compels the ants to act natural so that their colony mates will not be suspicious. Once they successfully manage to fool their colony mates, they move on to the next step. After completing their life cycle, the corpus militaris instructs the ant to climb up to the top of a twig or leaf and give the fungus one final bite. After biting down on the leaf, the fungus starts to spread through the dead body of the ant. It turns the dead body of the insect into a fruiting body and starts spreading more zombifying spores. Well, these fungi are dangerous for the insects, but do they pose any threat to us humans? The answer is no. These parasites cannot infect humans, because the human nervous system is much more complex than that of an insect. But the scariest part is that scientists have found that these parasites can be engineered in a lab to infect larger animals. Once they start infecting larger animals, we may see real zombies walking among us. Can humans become zombies? Science has not yet found a way to bring a dead person back to life. So there is no need to worry about zombies rising from their graves anytime soon. But there is something that you should be aware of. Some people who were declared dead actually were not. There have been many cases where people have regained consciousness after being declared dead. One such case was reported in 2008 in the Journal of Clinical Neuroscience. The patient was a 39-year-old woman who suffered a cardiac arrest. She was brought to the hospital, and despite the doctor's best efforts, she could not be revived. After 24 minutes of cardiac arrest, she was declared dead. However, a few minutes after being declared dead, her husband noticed that her chest was moving up and down. When the doctors checked on her again, they found that she was breathing on her own. An MRI scan revealed that only a small part of her brain had been deprived of oxygen for 24 minutes. Although she made a full recovery, she suffered from some disabilities, including being unable to speak and loss of mobility on the right side of her body. Another similar case was reported in 2009. 19-year-old boy was brought to the hospital after he suffered a heart attack. Despite the doctor's best efforts, he could not be revived and was declared dead after 17 minutes of cardiac arrest. However, the boy's mother refused to accept his death. She kept telling the hospital staff that her son was alive. The hospital staff finally gave in and performed a few tests on the boy. To their surprise, they found that the boy had a pulse. He was suffering from hypothermic circulatory depression instead of cardiac death. These cases raise an important question. Can someone come back to life after being declared dead? Well, the answer is yes. However, this is only possible if the person has been declared dead on the spot. If a person is kept on life support, their chances of coming back to life become zero. This is because their vital organs, such as the brain and heart, stop functioning. In such cases, even if the person is brought back to life, they will suffer from severe brain damage. But there is another important point that we need to consider here. In both of these cases, the patients were not actually zombies. They were just in a state of suspended animation. This means their metabolic rate becomes very slow, but they are still alive. So can someone really turn into a zombie after death? The answer is no. Turning into a zombie would require the reanimation of the body after death. And as of now, science has not found a way to do that. In fact, science says that once a person is dead, their body starts to decompose within seconds. This means that even if someone was to be brought back to life, their body would be completely decomposed. So they would not be the same person anymore. Can a person eat another person's brain? We have seen many scenes in zombie movies where zombies eat the brains of humans. But can a human really eat another person's brain? Well, the answer is yes. There have been cases where people have eaten the brains of other people. In 1991, a man from India killed his wife and children and then ate their brains. The man was suffering from schizophrenia, which is a mental disorder that makes a person behave in a strange or violent way. The man was later caught and put on trial for his crime. In 2007, a man from Mexico killed his girlfriend and then tried to eat her brain. The man was high on drugs when he committed the crime. He was later arrested and charged with murder. And in 2013, a man from China killed and ate the brains of at least 10 young women. The man was a serial killer who targeted young women in order to eat their brains. He was eventually caught and sentenced to death. As you can see, humans really can eat the brains of other humans. But why would anyone want to do that? Well, some people believe that eating the brain of another person can give them certain powers or abilities. This is known as the myth of the superior brain. However, there is no scientific evidence to support this claim. Final words. So the question that arises at the end of the video is that are zombies real or not? Well, the answer is yes and no. Yes, because there are parasites that can turn insects into zombies. And no, because as of now, science has not found a way to turn a human into a zombie. However, in the future, it is possible that science may find a way to do so. But until then, we can rest easy knowing that zombies are not real. If you want to watch the video that I talked about at the beginning of the video, then click on the link in the description. And don't forget to subscribe because we will be uploading videos on paranormal topics soon.